Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Construction Specifiers demo cast on hand washing systems by Bradley Corporation. My name is Nitya, and I'll be moderating today's presentation. Before I introduce the speaker, please note your mics are muted. It would be best if you turn on the speaker view. That said, if you have any questions for our speaker, feel free to post them in the Q&A forum. We will address as many questions as possible throughout the presentation. If you have any connectivity or Zoom related questions, you can use the chat feature to communicate with us, and we'll do our best to help you. Today's presentation is being recorded. It will be available on the Construction Specifiers website, so you can access it whenever you need to. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Mike Logan is Regional Sales Manager for the Southeast region at Bradley Corporation. In today's presentation, Mike will explain some of Bradley's new products, including the WashBar Design. With that, I'll turn things over to Mike.
Thank you, Nithya. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. I am going to talk about our innovative touchless hand washing solutions that we've been in development for the past maybe 5+ years. And rightfully so, we've launched the past about 2 years some very innovative product that I'm going to share with you guys today. So who is Bradley? Bradley Corporation is a US-based manufacturer. We have 4 manufacturing plants, 2 right outside of Milwaukee, and 1 in Ohio and 1 in Michigan. So how we came about was 100 years ago, 1921, Harry Allen was part of the Allen Bradley family. He was trying to solve a problem, and the problem was how do we get the right amount of users, or a large amount of users this was a manufacturing plant, in and out of a restroom break and lunch as quick as possible. So what he invented was what we know of as a wash fountain. And it essentially was a fountain. If you see on the left-hand side here, it was a fountain in a circular bowl. It was cast, it was terrazzo, similar to like a concrete structure. And it was, you can get in the picture on the right there, you can get a large amount of users in and out of a break or a lunch as quick as possible. So you're not waiting in long lines to wash your hands, and you can wash heavily soiled hands. So there would be a soap canister on the top of that wash fountain. You can get your soap, and you can get a heavy duty wash of your full arm, so from elbow all the way to your hands as quick as possible with a large amount of users from a single fixture as well. And that's pretty important. So historically, before this, you'd have a bunch of different lavatories that the users would essentially use, and you'd have to wait in line to use that, and you'd have multiple connections, multiple plumbing connections from each lavatory. So this allowed one connection and a large amount of users at one time to wash their hands. So from the initial wash fountain on the left-hand side is kind of the, we still make it today, but that was kind of the stalwart of Bradley. And from there, we've innovated and made different configuration changes. So from activation to different soap options to different complete bowl designs to allow for, like the second picture there is a semicircular design. So that wash fountain is great, but if you have a smaller restroom where you have a large amount of users in a small space, you may not have necessarily the space to put that big 54-inch circular wash fountain there. So we came out with a semicircular that goes against the wall, still has the foot control, so it's a non-touch. You can still wash your hands all the way to your elbows, so heavy-duty hand washing, but it'll allow for different designs and spatial designs in your restroom design. And then we came out with the guys that installed these things. They said, hey, they are way too heavy. That concrete mixture, it's terrazzo, but it's essentially like a concrete mixture. That thing weighs way too much, and it's very cumbersome to install. So then we came out with different materials. So this one right here is a brad stone. So it's a mixture It has a little bit more acrylic in it. It reduces the weight in there. Still has the functionality, again, throughout the wash fountain of the heavy duty hand washing and the soap, but it just is easier to install. You can do it in a semicircular or circular design. So we've innovated from the wash fountain, which is what this pictorial is trying to illustrate, through the years of innovation here and the different styles and what we've done. So we came out with Carry On, which is essentially a little bit more rock than Bradstone, but it's lighter material. And this is kind of what we use today. One of the materials that we use today, it's called we call it Carry On, but it's a solid surface material. We also use infrared. So with the no touch, so that manual operation down below with that bar, you would step on it. So that's a no touch hand washing experience. But the industry has kind of been changing to where you want a sensor operation. So in a maybe a stadium or other kinds of commercial hand washing other than industrial hand washing like manufacturing, where a push bar is still okay or still accepted. In most other commercial environments, a sensor operation or no touch sensor is a better solution. So we've incorporated that into our hand washing fixtures. And then we've done for laboratory environments or maybe corrosive environments where you have different chemicals that you're washing off your hands. We have stainless steel fixtures, and then stainless steel fixtures with sensors as well. So I talked about the two different materials that we use in a lot of different molds is our Carry On and our Vero. So our Carry On is a solid surface material. You can get it in either regular Carry On or Carry On recycled, which uses more recycled rock. Lasts a lifetime. It's non-porous material, which it doesn't inhibit mold or mildew or bacteria. Huge in the environment that we find ourselves in with COVID and our just enhanced hand washing and cleanliness standards. So that Carry On, again, it's a molded solution, so great for a hand washing fixture. And then our Vero is, again, one piece molded. It has more quartz in there, so it's a cast form quartz material. So both of these materials are essentially liquid that's poured into a mold, and that's how you get a cast one piece. And I'll show you what that actually translates into in a second. But essentially, it's no caulk lines, no discolored seams, and you can have many different shapes and sizes. So I want to show this illustration. This was actually a week ago in the Columbia, South Carolina airport. And when I was just talking about the different solid surface and Vero materials, this is, although in initial impressions it looks nice, there's some problems here with this picture. So on the left-hand side, you can see that the apron underneath of this lavatory is solid surface. So the problem that causes is the maintenance person, if they ever have to go under there, in which they eventually will have to go underneath there and either change the batteries on the faucet or change some kind of part on that faucet, the maintenance burden is large, and it's really cumbersome to take that bottom apron off if it's solid surface. It's probably pretty heavy, and the chance that it can break is high. So a better solution is either a metal or plastic trap cover underneath there, which we offer. And then, so we talked about caulk joints. So you can see there, this thing doesn't even look that old. It's probably less than a couple years old, and you can already see the caulk seams that a maintenance personnel would have to change that caulk out sooner or later, because it's going to get bacterial growth. It's going to look really nasty. If you think in your shower, of how long that caulking lasts in your shower, even if you have a new house, it's probably a year or two, and then you times that by the amount of users that are using this lavatory, it's going to be even exponential wear and tear on that caulk, and it's not going to last very long. And then another thing is, since the soap isn't on the deck, it's mounted to the wall, you would think, oh, that's fine, but it's a little bit hard to see in this picture, but you can see the staining actually from that soap, because soap has a little bit of corrosive properties, so it's staining that solid surface because it's dripping down on that deck. And there's a proprietary cartridge in there, so whoever this airport facility is kind of locked into using that cartridge. So I'll talk about some of those things, some of those problem things, and how we address it with our designs. So one thing I want to bring up is this was the initial concept of one of the innovative products that I'm going to talk about. And so what this is, it's called our Advocate product, and it incorporates the hand dryer into the hand washing experience. So you have water, soap, and hand dryer all in one fixture, all in one hand washing experience, if you will. So it essentially takes that hand dryer off the wall. So historically there'd be a hand dryer, and you still see it in design on the wall. But the problem with that is when you take your hands out from underneath that faucet or soap dispenser and you go to dry your hands, the water is either going all over the wall or all over the wall and floor or all over everywhere, really. And it needs to be down the drain, right? That excess water from your hand washing needs to go down the drain. So this was the initial version. The only drawback to this version is it looks kind of institutional, right? It's not it's cool looking, but it doesn't fit into to more higher end restrooms, so nicer, where an architect, interior designer, or a facility just wants a nicer looking. So this still looks a little institutional, which is fine for maybe a rest area or somewhere where design aesthetic is not the most important. So this is the second version, second iteration. So this launched a couple years ago now, but it's called our WashBar. But it's the same concept. It has water, soap, and hand dryer all in one fixture from one manufacturer. So it's easy to maintain, and it has all of your elements of your hand washing. So this is a solid surface bowl design that we manufacture. So you can specify the whole bowl design, whatever shape you wanted. There's different users, or there are different stations, if you will. So there's 1, 2, and 3 station designs in different shapes. And then you can select hand dryer, water, and whatever soap that you're using. So it's touch-free, sensors, it's plug-in, and it just gives you a clean aesthetic. It looks really sharp. You can put it in, hotels, casinos, stadiums. It's for high use. We have a history, since 1921, going back to the previous slides and the previous topics. We have a history of innovating hand washing, and so we're not new to this game. We've innovated through our tried and true methods, and actually through experience. So we've taken it from the wash fountain to now 100 years later, you have the WashBar. So this is a really good video that illustrates what the WashBar actually does. Can everybody hear this?
Mike, I can't hear that.
Oh,
the audio.
man. Okay, hang on one second. Let me That's okay. We won't play the video, but I'll talk around it anyways.
Yep.
So what that video just it illustrated how it uses and the different elements. So I'll talk about them here. That hand drying, you can have heated air, or you can turn the volume down. So maybe it's like a university where you have a classroom next door. You can turn the hand dryer down a little bit. So you still have a high efficiency hand dryer, but it's not quite as loud. So it's different function there for different environments. And then the soap, you can use either foam soap or liquid soap. So some facilities like to use foam soap just because it lasts longer. Some like to use liquid, so you can use either one, and it uses a bulk container. So underneath here, it's non-proprietary. You can use anyone's brand. There's a wide range of viscosity levels. So in that dispenser will pull from that large bulk container. So you just have to get under there and maintain that soap dispenser less. And there's actually a light on the front, which the video illustrates really well. When that soap is low, it'll give you a light here, a red light that show you that the dispenser is low. So the facility can go change it out so you can maintain it easier. So this is the actual brand new version of the WashBar. This came out about 3 or 4 months ago, and essentially takes one bar from the WashBar way, and what it gives is a floating design. So when a user walks up to that WashBar, the WashBar actually kind of looks like it floats there, and it's a really sharp, sophisticated looking design. Same concept though, it has all 3 components into there. And then there is users that do not want hand dryers incorporated because it increases the cost too much. If you incorporate a hand dryer in every single fixture, the cost is too high. So we have what's called our WashBar Duo, and it's water and soap. So then maybe a facility doesn't like that WashBar design. So we still have other fixtures of what's called our Verge matching soap and faucet that we've launched recently. That we've repackaged our sensor faucet offering to pair a soap dispenser with that. So this is flexible, and where the WashBar, you have to have a receptacle underneath there because it's only a plug-in. These matching soap and faucets, Verge soap and faucet, you can use battery. And in the case that you do have a plug-in, the battery would just act as a backup. So there's 4 different spout designs, 6 different finishes, and it just there's some built-in functionality for commercial environments. So the sensor, you don't see the sensor. There's no exposed sensor there, so it's up underneath the spout, so less chance of vandalism. And just the soap dispenser is the big one. So the soap dispenser, again, it's matching. It can use battery or hardwired, but it has 2. It can use foam or liquid, and it has 2 fill options. You can either fill it a top fill, which you essentially would just take the spout off. There's an Allen key on the side, and you would take the spout off and fill it from the top. Or if you have a facility, and I would guess a lot of facilities are burning through soap right now, using a lot more soap because of the excess hand washing in our environment. So there's a puck right here. I call it a puck, but it's essentially it's one fill port that would go down to this bulk container, and you would refill all of these soap dispensers pull from that one container. So it's easier on the facility. You still get the sensor operation, so it's touch free, and it's just a great soap method to deal with the biggest problem of a facility is how do we keep soap in there for hand washing, right? So there's also a ring down below here in that bottom left picture. Whenever you need to refill that ring will turn red, and so it'll alert the facility that you need to refill that soap. So along with our soap offering, this is huge for us. This last year, during this crazy pandemic, we've had these dispensers that fill out our washroom accessory package. And so these dispensers were soap dispensers. Now we changed the valve in these guys to be hand sanitizer and soap dispensers. So great for a facility, touch-free operation, uses batteries, and again, uses non-proprietary a bulk system. Inside of there's a cartridge. I'm sorry, there is no cartridge inside of here. There's a bulk canister inside of here that you would pour your sanitizer of choice, either gel, foam, or liquid sanitizer. depending on what your facility specifies. And then, you're not locked into a baggy style system that you can't find from one of the other manufacturers. So that is the final slide. If anyone has any questions, I'll answer any questions. I think we have about 10 minutes left.
Yes, Mike, thank you for the presentation. And as Mike mentioned, we do have some time for questions. So if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A section and Mike will answer them. Mike, to start off, when washing hands, can you activate two functions simultaneously?
Oh, that's a great question. You cannot. So on the wash bar, it's actually, we call it a smart function, but essentially if you are getting your hands wet in the initial hand washing cycle, if your elbow was to go over into the side of the other sensor, you actually can't activate that sensor. You can't activate two simultaneous functions. So that just helps your elbow or your arm not get soap or activate the hand dryer while you're activating the water and making quite a mess. So we call it a smart feature, but it's a really great feature to not have ghost activations.
Yes, I totally understand that. The next question, how hard is it to replace soap?
Oh, it's really easy to replace the soap. So you would take the apron off underneath, and then there's a bulk canister underneath there. So you buy those bulk canisters from any of your janitorial supply companies, and all you would have to do is either just remove the lid of your bulk canister and just place it underneath there on that little shelf that comes with the unit.
Thank you, Mike. I'm just going to wait and see if any of our audience members have any questions. Okay, it looks like they don't have any questions. So in that case, I'd like to thank you, Mike, for joining us today and explaining Bradley's products. A recording of the democast will be available 1 week from now. We will also send a link to the recording via email to all registrants. Thanks to everyone who attended. Before you go, please take a few minutes to give us your feedback by completing our survey. It should appear in your browser after you close Zoom. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.